auto insurance has become an important issue for us because it's the one private market product that all Texans are forced to buy. They have to buy it to comply with the law if they own a car and drive a vehicle. And so it's important in these kinds of products that they be priced fairly and have costs that really reflect the costs that the insurers are experiencing. Texas Appleseed is a public interest justice center, and we work across a lot of different issue areas in order to balance the scales for Texas families so everyone has a fair shot at success and a good future in our state. And so some of our priority areas include fair financial services, the kind of pocketbook issues that I work on to make sure that families are being treated fairly in the financial marketplace, and particularly lower income families, to support equity and fairness across our systems to have a prosperous Texas.
We told you back in April how several car insurance companies offered rebates to customers averaging about $60. Now, Texas Appleseed says those refunds fall way short of what drivers should be getting.
When we looked at the amount of refunds that auto insurers were giving people, we assessed them based on the decreases in miles driven as well as the decrease in crashes. And what we found is that though miles driven had decreased a substantial amount, almost 70% at the peak of the pandemic, and crashes were down more than 50%, and it made us think, in looking at how the rebates were comparing to the reduction in crashes, that the rebates were not necessarily capturing all the reduced costs that the auto insurers were experiencing. Around 30%, or 1 in 3 of the top 40 companies that we looked at in Texas offered no rebate whatsoever. And they tended to be concentrated in something called the non-standard market, which is a market that tends to target people who may not have had auto insurance before or may be considered higher risk. Generally, it would be considered like the subprime version of auto insurance. Those products tend to be most commonly accessed in lower income communities. They also disproportionately target African American and Latino communities in Texas.
This month, Locke found a better rate with a different insurance company for her 2015 Toyota Corolla. But when she called Geico to let them know she'd be switching when her current policy expired, a Geico representative told her she'd have to repay that $150.
I kept asking her, where did I sign a legally binding document stating that if I were to cancel my policy that I have to pay this money back? Because I was under the impression that it went to my previous policy, not my new policy.
It's a policy that goes against market-based competition. It's a policy that goes against the main principle of auto insurance pricing, that it's a risk-based pricing product. People need to be free to find the best deal and not feel beholden to one particular auto insurer just because otherwise that's the only way that they can get the discount that they feel they deserve. The main thing individuals can do is call their auto insurance and let them know if, for example, you used to drive 100 miles a week and now you drive 5 miles a week. It's important to let your auto insurance know that, because that can be tied into the pricing of auto insurance if the car is just not being used. Another issue that we raised in some of our outreach to the Texas Department of Insurance is the use of credit scoring in insurance pricing. And so a lot of people may not know this, but credit scores can impact the cost of insurance. It's important for people to know that if they have any negative credit impacts that are resulting from the pandemic, that they have the right to call their auto insurance and tell them, don't consider my credit score because I lost my job. I couldn't pay these debts because I lost my job. And so those are legitimate reasons to ask the auto insurers to overlook credit scoring data for a period of time. So it's important that people know that they have those rights. Usually they're supposed to send something in writing. The Department of Insurance did ask insurance companies to accept people calling and telling them this information. So it's important that they have those conversations to make sure that they're being treated in the fairest possible way in terms of how insurance is priced. We've seen some concerning trends. Some auto insurers are in their second quarter reports are reporting record profits. And it gives us pause because, of course, every business has the right to be profitable, but to profit off of a pandemic and to profit off of pricing that isn't related in a risk-based product that isn't related to the actual risks these businesses are experiencing, that's really concerning. And we would love to see the Texas Department of Insurance take an active role to ensure accountability so that Texans are treated fairly, so that Texans who are desperate for extra money right now, who are struggling, get money back into their pockets if that's what they deserve.